Hello and welcome to today's stream and or video, most likely video because Twitch, as I've said, as I've talked about in my wonderful content go-to-market strategy, Twitch is not a good platform to start out on. So of course, you're probably watching this on YouTube, so welcome. And today we're doing, if you can look through my channel, I go to, I won't say where I go to school. That's a bit much, but I'm probably going to end up studying finance, and it's certainly that. But of course, who needs academic? Who needs to learn about Sharpe ratios and options pricing models and efficient markets theory when you have Wall Street bets instead with fancy animations, all of these power ups. All right, so who needs a fancy finance degree when you have all of these track records to go off of? And so today, occasionally, on a relatively daily basis, I do like to scroll WallStreetBets because it is very humorous to see the incredible amounts of stupidity that occur, as well as the occasional ingenuity. But today I'm just gonna scroll through. Just scroll WallStreetBets. Hopefully a bit more like maybe not a weekly, but maybe more like when there are some good things that pop up that I can just run my feed. And over the past week, there have been some good things. Of course, there's the GameStop stuff, but not a whole lot there. But this one, starting off, yeah, man, it's tough. It must be tough for this kid. That's what nasty drawdown of what 4/5 basically. And yeah, about a good thing about WallStreetBets is that the comments of the specific vernacular of the comments are very amusing. And so for this way, I'm just gonna go through it myself. Because like dad going away jokes, lactose jokes, different country. Yeah, but the funny part is, right, like 69K for a lot of these folks, right, especially like college kids, right, 69K, that's still a lot. It says that you my dad or something like that. The Wendy's joke. That gambling problem. But thing is, right, this would have been in what's the like a 529? I'd assume, right? Like it's in a 529. Right, like tax efficient. So I'm not sure if 529s if they're like allowed to work that way. I mean, in the sense, like, is a 529 like allowed? Because like if you have Roth IRA, unless you're like on Webull, you can't trade options, and even that, right, on Webull, it's very like simple options. Like it's not like you can't do like spreads. So I wonder how this guy's like. I guess it would go to the point that this guy is like a bit of a gambler if he was doing this in a regular non-tax efficient account instead of like a 529. But yeah, I can't tell the difference between WallStreetBets and roast meat. Like that's very true. Like it's like he wants to be known for losing his kid's college money. Yeah, GameStop. Yeah, I guess what year and 2 months after GameStop, and so we're still going, and with of course the market downturn. So of course processing that. Community college. Hey, so A package getting boosted on that. But yeah, the kid can take out as many loans, right? Like unsecured loans, make it back. Military. The usual. Oof. GG, bro. Yeah, that's fair. You can buy a pretty good dad for that. The usual wife's boyfriend joke. Yeah, it's not me, so it's funny. He has to recover what 350% to make his money back at this point. We'll see how that goes. Wumbo. Wumbonomics. Oh, excuse me, 430. I mean, I should be trusting some random math, but but hey, it's not so bad. it's not so, it's not it's not so bad on that. This is probably the best comment in this entire thread right here. Yeah. So this is probably this is the best thread in this entire post. Like the GG current kid. The next one will have it. The next one will be set. But you GG to that man. On the other hand, this guy call option. Congrats to this guy, right? Call options. Of course, the usual. It's good enough to screenshot. It's good enough to sell. If it's, that's probably, especially with options, right? It's very, if you wanna, like, if you're gonna flex like your diamond hands, I shouldn't say that. Like, it's like if you somehow, if you had the conviction, or just didn't pay attention, and like you held at like Microsoft from like for like a couple like a decade, like yeah, you're doing very well. Yeah, options gonna have to. There's like, do that rule of thumb. Of course, it's confirmation bias though, right? Because it's like if a person wants 17 to 75 to 630 to 2.2 million, then like, hey, pat him on the back, But then these comments are saying like take 500K, take all of it, and you know, but man, but it's just but this is this is very clearly why like Wall Street bets, or more so like financial derivatives like options, have that appeal. 317, 918. He purchased. Oh, that's when he sold. So on March 17, he purchased these. On the 9th. So in 8 days, in a week, man, in a week the guy went from 75 to that's what over 8x. And that's in a week to make let's see, 500, approximately 555K. Like sheesh, that's the allure of. To be extremely pretentious, like that's the allure of America. But at the same time, but that's only that's only the allure of Wall Street bets. It's the allure of financial derivatives. It's the allure of financial markets in general, to a certain degree, right? Like even your most like buy and hold type index guy wouldn't mind 8xing his money in 8 days. So yeah, 1x every single day. Oh man. Yeah, but hey, this guy's right. Can't be a millionaire at 630. But if we are being honest, if you compound that at a pretty generous clip, let's compound interest to stuff. Open up Excel. I did have Excel. I have Excel added to my tab to show that I know what I'm talking about. But 630, right? And so in this sense, 30,000. So 1,000 would be a million. So it's 630. Let's just be a bit conservative, 7%. Assume that. Let's just say 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Equals that times 1 plus that to the 10. Wait, what? B2. Oh, this is embarrassing. Uh, this is embarrassing. 6:30. Oh, bro, that's so embarrassing. God, it's so embarrassing. Bro, I got a slight detour. But how did I mess up this formula? All right, so it's 1 plus a compound annual compound of 1.107. We're compounding, but we're not even we're not discounting. We're just compounding. 2 to 10 times there. Okay, there we go. Ooh, about this was that's about to be very sad. Let's lock in these cells. D2, I want to rotate as I drag it across. And I want C2 to be flat as well. And then we can control R that. Man, so pretty much from 6 to 130K, assuming pretty conservative, like 7%. Yeah, like what? A lot of people, I think they put in, they use like 8, 9, 10% as their. Actually, let's be more conservative. Let's just say 5%. Like man's doing bonds. And so, how old is this guy? He's probably not too old. Yeah, he 20s, 30s, right? And so if he's in his 20s and 30s and he's doing that, then so from this point on, right, 5%. So that, if you're returning 5%, then of course, like if the market conditions, like it's like there's variance, but 5% I think is somewhat reasonable. Of course, it's not a real return if you want to make that argument, but it's still a return. And hey, so 630K from where he is at now, and if we want to contrast that to where he was at 17, so 17. Just let's move this up. And so he was at 17, right? So we could 1 plus. Oh my gosh. Oh, was that? Maybe that was why I messed up. But 1 plus this close 2 that times that. Wait, why is it telling me percent? I don't want a percent. Oh, there we go. Not sure why it's telling me percent. I just want. Okay, but see the difference, right? So you're going from. So if man. So but, I don't want to say contradictory things, and of course, like I'm just a college student. I admit I go to a decent school, a decent business school, you know, but yeah, but again, I think this image right here perfectly encapsulates like WallStreetBets. And so what's the difference? This minus, and let's copy that out. Right. And so we're talking about difference of a million, 1.6 million, 2.6 million in terms of it. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, and this is the difference between 630K principal versus 17, and of course thousands. No, in thousands. I would use the shortcut to open up the cell itself, but I'm on a laptop, so I don't want to put myself on airplane mode. But yeah, man, this is, and let's control B are starting. But man, but this is let's alt H O I to autofill the column. Pro hack for Excel, alt H O I, automatically reformat your cells. But that doesn't look that good. Let's drag it here. Actually, let's just drag it over down here. All right, but this is right. So we're talking about conceivable again. 5% again. I think 5% is a fair number. Regardless how you come across it, 5% is fair. But if you're going, but this is literally and the difference 8 days. This is like the difference of 8 days and one financial purchasing, because if user Jacklock 366, yeah, like instead of buying calls, if he bought puts, then like this it would be a different. I suppose if there was enough volatility, like then maybe he would have come out on top. But I don't think to the degree that he came up. Not to the degree to which he came out with a 5x, no, like 8x, 7x return. Right, he wouldn't have done that. I think this image, right, just and quite literally, if the guy is 30. So basically from this, like he's already set for like a pretty good retirement, right? Because times 0.0. Times 0.04. So like if you take like the standard like 4% rule, right? Of course limited, but 4% rule, right? And so we're taking. I messed that up. Equals that times 0.04, and so the logic behind the 4% rule is that it's for like retirement. So it's like you take like how much you have saved for retirement, you multiply that by 4%, and that is how much you will have to live on annually. Again, it is that 4%, right? If we're using 5%, so if you're using 5%, then you should use 3% rule, or scale it down accordingly. But the idea is that like you'll be able to withdraw or whatever returns from dividends, or if you're selling positions. But the idea is that you will be able to sell while your portfolio still grows, and so in that sense you will not run out of money over a couple decades or whatnot, and generally regardless of market cycle. And so basically, and again, 5% I think is a pretty fair. Pretty fair. It's not 8%. It's not 9%. It's not 10%. So this is very fair. So, right. But if you take, if you want to apply that from what he has here, right. So living, right. Let's say he's 30. He's 30 years old. And of course this isn't fair, because of course like he'll be making more money from his job, notwithstanding whatever ingenious financial market decisions he makes. But he will, of course. So this is kind of like baseline, essentially at this point, of a tale of two cities. But just theoretically, assuming that like this is all man gets, like financial markets closed forever from this point on, living off 108K versus 3K a year, pretty big difference monthly. That's 9K. $240. So yeah, a bit of a difference. Yeah, that's and 9K a month. Like, hey, pretty good. Congrats. That's. Well, of course, it's a big if there, right? It's like, what if man does this? Like many other people who've done, like a lot. Like there's like some good YouTube videos that like detail like the most like degenerate like WallStreetBet trades, of like this one college kid who's like doing like SPY, extremely short dated, out of the money SPY calls and puts, like intermediately, and he got like from like a couple thousand to like millions, but then he lost it all on like some like marijuana earnings report, marijuana company's earning report, so it's yeah, and of course, right. It's just none of what I'm saying is novel, and to the degree that almost nothing people, considering myself, say is novel, but like just the allure of essentially being set for retirement. Because if dude is 30 years, but certainly if you want to live off 1.6, like you can do that, like times 0.04. You're still like that's still 66K. So that's functionally like twice the national median income you're living off. Again, for nothing, assuming this is like your baseline, because presumably you will have more funds. You will be more funds that can go towards your retirement. So 30 to like age 50, chilling. That's something. But again, right? Like, will this guy do it? You'd assume that like 26. Oh, I was right. It's from in a week. Let's see this guy's past comment. Okay, so guy knows what. So guy relative, of course, to the degree that anybody knows what they're doing. Guy has a solid head on his shoulders, and so I think he will probably like, he knows how to run it. He knows how to do basic compounding, right? So I'm sure he can pull up a spreadsheet and look at the stuff and see like the vast difference. Like, it's only like the immense difference of where this trade has allowed him to be. The future value of 17K versus 600K is immensely distinct. Let's take a percentage of this. Minus that. Right, so 100, and let's turn it to percent. Actually, that's bad. But yeah, right, this from what 3x if you're like 3x versus like the ultimate return is going to be the same, right? Of like 165% return. It's the same, right? Because like we're compounding we're compounding your base number at the same percentage over the same time frame. So like the amount of multiplication that's happening is the same. So like your total return is going to be equal at 165%. But the difference is like that principal number, and so yeah, that's kind of obvious, even if you don't like know what compounding is. That's very obvious. Thank you for listening. But it's it's like, if you're trading options and you're doing so in a way that where you're taking your profit in the first place, like you haven't forgotten about your option and you're not letting it expire, then it's just, I think this is what is just very alluring, and I think this is what I think that's what this comic has said very well. For people just trying to chase without doing their own like learning like this guy has, and just chasing and thinking that these returns are easy to obtain, or that it's like divinely meant for these returns to be met. Because being honest, like the market's full of smart people, right? Like a lot of market participants are out there, right? Certainly rocket scientists, as like you'd say. And so for these opportunities to come across, it's very impressive. And man, but yeah, of course, hey, if it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. There was one more. Hey, congrats on this guy. There's one more pretty humorous one. Two more. Like they're both related. Let me find. We'll come back to the. We'll come back to that one. Uh, must. But yeah. Wait, that's tough stuff. Wall Street Bets is very interesting. Here it is. Here it is. 450K to 0 at age 19. Like, sheesh. And the guy explained how this catastrophe came about. Churchill / Lucid. Jimmy calls Lucid Arc. GG. I actually met, like, I didn't meet the Mr. Klein, who was like the guy behind the SPAC. I should have walked up to him. I was at like an info session for M Klein. I should have walked up to the guy and asked for a picture. Exactly for stuff like this. So I could just have like a little, like humorous recollection of and plus I'm very like the guy, right, who is a billionaire, right? There's a lot of cool, like, the financial crisis and like is a big wig function, right? The people he knows, like being there in person to recruit for his firm. That's pretty interesting. I should have walked up to the guy and got a picture. I should have applied for it. Too late. But man, that's okay. That's how he lost his stuff. Yeah, the comments, but come on, like 450. You know what I mean, like man would have made out very well. Man, what? So we'd have like 800. Let's not be lazy. Let's actually do it. Let's actually do the math. Let's do the math. I have a bagel I want to eat. Gosh, I would copy and paste the formulas, but I don't actually. Let me just copy and paste the formulas. Don't copy and paste it. Oh my god, I forget the Excel command. Lock in these cells. Let's see, man. So if he's 19 as well. So from that, and again, this is very a very fair baseline. But man, at 19, 20 years, at 39, realistically, he's making more money. He's saving for retirement earlier. So like 39, he's a guaranteed millionaire. And by 49, like 2 million, like be able to retire, like. And he did nothing to earn this windfall, right? Grandma gave him the money. And yeah, good old Wall Street Bets philosophy. 10K, 100K, just put into 10K. And if you still want to gamble, right? This is the best comment, I think. I've changed my money for age 19, but hey, you learned about the lesson. Just kidding, you twerp. The money was infinity times better, and the lesson is useless. And I think the best part about the line is that, like, the line that the lesson is useless, I think, is very apropos, because like the kid, I forget. I'm sure there's some like mental bias where it's like desire to make it back, or those things, or it's how like, if you were do gambling on. I won't say gambling, but being very aggressive with your prognostication of the future of Lucid Motors, or ARC's bundle of companies, and you certainly you have a certain mindset or philosophy or risk tolerance at least, but right, and so yeah, the lesson is useless. It's very poignant. Or excuse me, it wasn't. Was this grandma? I think so. Yes. Why, hello. I am blue collar. Gave it away for humble life. Uh, hey, let's Australia competitively, you know, slap him with Golem. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh man. Okay. Excuse me. Two more. Two more. This is what I was referencing. So this is the grandma. Again, like 200K. I've done enough to Excel stuff today for Friday, Friday morning. Bro, uh, grandma. I don't know. Like, if you have a windfall like that, like it's very hard for me to imagine a windfall like that. But uh, I don't like my I don't know my grandparents. Like they live in a different country. Only met them once when I was very little, and plus language barrier. But and so I won't have a windfall from my grandparents. But like if you have a windfall, to like to lose to be so aggressive. I suppose it makes sense, right? Because like this 200K, it's like, is it really real? Like it's not like you worked for it. Like for me, 200. I used to make 10.50 an hour working a job, working at a Chipotle. So that's 19,000 hours. So I divide the 19,000 hours by 24. So how many hours in a day? 793 days continuously. So 24 hours. I divide that by 365 to get to that amount of to earn that amount of principal. It would have taken me working the equivalent of over 2 years straight to get to the amount of principal that this guy had. And I suppose that, and again, but in the sense that like the market is the sum of all of its different participants, from professional traders to retail to speculators, and if the market is the aggregate of all of that, then this type of behavior makes sense, right? Because there's people that don't value their principle, who don't recognize like the time value of money, um, and again, right, it's very clear that 200K is very sizable. It's the compound that you can get very nice clip. Um, but yeah, it's 200K for me. Again, I'm not gonna have a windfall, but like to have the equivalent I would have had. If we're just talking purely about principle, just like money, cash down, it would have taken me the equivalent of 2 literal years of my entire life working just to get that. So yeah, and think about grandma. Her grandma, like she if she had 200K left to give to a grandchild, then that means that she was that she was financially responsible. She's not uh, maxing out her retirement. Then getting all in a room, like a used car selling platform. Oh man. And that's the thing, right? Like, of course, you hear like you can't sit on cash because you're losing to inflation, but that doesn't. But losing to inflation doesn't model losing 96% of your portfolio. Oh my gosh. Oh man, GG in the chat, bro. There was a good company. There was a good company. Ah, this is it. This is it too. Especially if like people just like not like building like a DCF, this kind of cash flow. I mean, it's just more so like good company go up and to the right, or even if it's a bad company, but it go up and to the right. Um, so, but even then, like yeah, for Vroom, I think it's also right. Like for some trades, you can think of like someone's buying long term like Apple calls. You can say Apple's it's a good company up and to the right. Current multiples be damned up and to the right. But yeah, but I suppose at this point, like yeah, for like a space Virgin Galactic or Palantir, you can BS some thesis about there are companies going to make Terminators. Um, I forget Terminator's software thing. Skylink. Um, yeah, at least with the usual speculative stuff, you can see how someone who can't distinguish reality from fairy tales, very fair, um, can see the upside of hypersonic space terrorists fighting algo. But let's roll it on a website for you. When you put it like that, yeah, it's very humbling. Um, in essence, but hey, there's an onomatopoeia, so it's uh no Microsoft Edge doing that's a bit annoying. It takes a judge to build it, one to maintain it, one to squander it. Well, it takes one Wall Street bet DJ to skip. But that's hey, that's the future, right? Efficiency. Hey, always squeeze out the middleman. GG, bro. Slight Wall Street bet sexism. Oh man, but then there's this hilarious one. I think you guys will be able to hear the audio from from this on Streamlabs. One more just in case Streamlabs wants to troll me and won't show the audio, the desktop audio. It's Plankton saying, "I'm sorry, Graham Graham." Oh man, 200K principal. Again, when I saw that, I didn't put it in terms of like how much would it take me to get to this level of principal. It would have taken me 2 years. Let's say I lived to 100 years, just for basic numbers, very basic numbers. It would have taken me. So let's say I lived 100, right? It would have taken me 2%, 2.17% of my entire life, and so I'm only have 98%. And of course, 30% sleeping, blah blah blah, um, to get to that guy's level of principal. And this guy, like he lived like 0% of his life to get this windfall, and he managed to lose it. And so I'm sorry, Graham Graham is very fitting. Oh man, generational wealth, man, such a weird thing, you know. I suppose to some degree it's either like a be as rich as the Waltons, and so you're just like too rich to lose. Or like the idea about like if like family office or like managed fund, managed trust. So like yeah, it's man, humbling stuff as always. But man, well if honestly that kind of made me sad thinking about not only like how but like one guy is set for life, two guys maybe things could work out, but like that, it's gonna eat away at them, right? It'll it'll eat away at them. But if looking at those decisions, maybe it cheered you up. Maybe some of the comments made you laugh. Maybe you have a new thing to spend part of your day reading, and maybe you will try to do the same type of aggressive, financially aggressive portfolio allocation decisions as these guys. But if you do that, just know that did not tell you to do so, and but but of course that's a bit tongue in cheek. But yeah, I think again, right, to the idea that if this isn't if this doesn't represent America, then the idea that this does represent the allure of financial markets for people who are are tuned and but then who aren't necessarily sophisticated to that degree or who have very aggressive or very rosy. Again, a lot of this is survivorship bias of like the guy who got from 17K, right? This is survivorship bias. But the weird thing about the survivorship bias is that like the amount of loss, quote unquote, loss porn versus gain porn. Like there's a whole unless we're talking about GameStop where there was a whole lot of gain porn, but there's a whole lot more loss porn. So you can't even say that Wall Street Bets is survivorship bias because there's literally an entire digital culture that's ingrained around the exact opposite of survivorship bias, which is showing the fatality list. Like it's so weird. Like it's the exact opposite of survivorship bias because the bias, if anything, is towards showing the losses. Like the one guy right was like the way he phrased like his losing 450K. He was like or his kids college fund. He's very like not pleased by it. And so it's the exact opposite of survivorship bias. It's even more baffling than how people see this stuff and then like say I can do this too, without knowing the Greeks, without time value money, without having any prior experience or those things. It's just you can't blame survivorship bias. You can't blame some like tinted glasses because the entire subreddit is actively there's a whole lot more losses than there are gains, and people are relatively speaking happy to post their losses. So it's not you can't even blame survivorship bias at that point. Oh man. So rest in peace, Graham. Kudos to Amazon call guy who's now set for life. He can live off a nice 9K, 108K a year. Rest in peace. Well, again, those guys are young. They can, they get their head on straight. Time value money from then on out. Retire at 60 with same amount. But what could have been, it's the melancholy of a time that is past and there's a quote. The all right, give me a second. I think to end again pseudo intellectualism, but give me a second. The melancholy of a time that was once coming and now inevitably seems to be going. I switched around the seems and inevitably, but the melancholy of a time that once was coming and now seems inevitably to be going. And I think that is, if I'm being honest, it's not a finance quote, right? It's a bit too eloquent for some Morgan Stanley research report on the semiconductor industry. But I think that video does capture, right? Like this guy, right? But like some again, right? We said like this guy, like he knows what he's doing. He has a good set of head on his shoulder. But like the rush, like the sheer euphoria, and like again, the guy made the right prognostication to 7-8x his money. So the guy like, well, you can say he has a track record, right? And so but like, will he do it again? Will he risk any portion again? Melancholy of something that's going, and in these guys, the melancholy of what could have been. So on that note, the melancholy of a time that once was coming and now seems inevitably to be going. So, and I suppose at the end of the day, I suppose part of it is to minimize that regret. It certainly is to appreciate the value of your dollars, to recognize, especially if you get like a windfall, like the equivalent of it if you were to come about it. For me, it would have taken me 2 straight years, like assuming I never slept, did not have any breaks. It would have taken me literally 2 years of my entire life to get to that amount of principal from my high school job. It's so bad. It's unbelievable. But on that, so value the money. I'm saying that with a Wall Street Bets pulled up. So, but let these be cautionary tales, or at the very least, I'm not going to make a prognostication for you, but these are very high variance, extremely high variance outcomes, right? Losing 96% versus 800 versus 8x are very different outcomes. Extremely high variance. If you grab it on a scatter plot, very different outcomes. So, with that said, hopefully some of these comments were humorous, and again, you can find these Wall Street Bets top of the week And when I upload to YouTube, I should put in the URLs to the threads. I'll do that. That's fair. That's fair. As me as a responsible content creator. Oh, but one last time. Oh man, I'm sorry, Graham. The melancholy of a time that once was coming and now seems to be going. With that, thank you for watching, and catch you guys